Live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session in our Autumn Spring series. Again, really excited with our guest today, Catherine. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we love Catherine. Catherine's done so much amazing work, haven't you, with your team, in different guises, in different organisations, a huge strengths advocate, doing amazing skills work. I know that anyone listening is going to get lots of great intel from you. But Catherine, do you want to tell everyone who you are?
Yes, thank you. Yes, so I'm Katherine Billingham-Mohamed. I'm the Leadership and Engagement Director at Ipsos currently. And we've been doing lots of exciting work with Cappfinity over the last kind of year. Prior to that, though, have worked with Cappfinity on numerous things around strengths in Ofcom and back in the day in Aviva about a decade ago.
Yeah.
So yes, a lifelong fan of Cappfinity's work.
Yeah, thank you. Lots of energy, lots of brave stuff that you're doing. I can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So before we dive in, and I do want to, and I think the audience would want to hear more about the work that you're doing at Ipsos. But before that, just taking a step back, interested in what a skill really means to you, Catherine, and especially with all of your advocacy for strengths and your passion for strengths. Why, how strengths kind of plays into that and why strengths are important.
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a little Google and looked at the Cambridge Dictionary definition of a skill because I was like, I actually don't know what the dictionary would
Yeah.
say, and it said the ability to do an activity or job well. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, I get that. I buy into that as a descriptor of a skill.
Mm.
And I like that it's about doing. I love a doer anyway. So I like that it's a very activity based. And it's the link, I think, is like the link between knowing something and then actually applying that knowledge. So I think that definition of a skill really works for me. The
Lovely.
bit that doesn't necessarily work for me is the bit that feels missing. Like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Like, what energy do you get when you like do the skill, do the activity?
Mm.
And then the question, like, do you even use it? Because I
Mm.
think we can have dormant knowledge that then doesn't translate into the actual application of it. And that for me is why I love the Capfinity link between skills and strength, because the strength then becomes the performance element is, the how well do you do at the skill? The energy is such an important part for me. So it's that intrinsic, how do you feel when you're practicing that skill? And then are you using it or not? And for me, they are, I know we'll talk a bit about kind of this about, but the strengths, about the unrealized strengths, they are the gold dust, the untapped potential that people have, i.e., they're a skill that people just aren't using. And if we could just imagine what the world would be like if you could
Yeah.
just unlock that and
Yeah.
people are able to use those skills on a more regular basis. So for
Yeah.
me, that's kind of the difference between like the skill and the strength, and which is why I love Capfinity's definition of measurement of performance, energy, and use.
Yeah. I think it's been really interesting just over the last couple of years, really, to see, as everyone's been talking about skills, there's so much to kind of really get your head around from a fundamental perspective. But I think what you and I and us are so passionate about is really waving that flag for thinking about skills in that deeper way and beyond the surface level. And that is where you get potential from. And like you said, the energy and then the use is where you can tap into that dormant stuff, the high potential. I said I would deviate from the questions, forgive me, Catherine, but any tips for anyone where thinking about skills and strengths in that way might be adding more complexity to it? Because you speak so articulately and so eloquently about it. Yeah, any tips for anyone trying to get their head around that?
Hmm. I mean, I think a lot of organizations have gone down the route of like, have you got the skill, yes or no? And
Yeah.
that's kind of, and in a way, that is the most simplistic way of looking at skills, right? They come up with maybe like huge, huge taxonomies to kind of choose from. They then kind of differentiate between technical, human skills,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So I think you can get more and more granular the more in depth you go. But for me, when you just look at it from a perspective of have you got it or not, you are missing these other elements on how do people feel when they are using the skill? Because imagine if you could just dial that up and people felt even more motivated, engaged, and productive.
Hmm.
But also, it doesn't look at the ability, are they able to use the skill? And I think it's that the are they able to use a skill that the more traditional way of looking at analyzing skills misses.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe people might think that this approach is more complex.
Hmm.
My challenge to that is that actually by going deeper in the analysis, you get a more simple picture because you get clearer data about where to target. So
Hmm.
for us in Ipsos, we're really focused at that
Hmm.
unrealized strength bucket, which are the skills that our people get energy from, are brilliant at using, but just aren't using at the moment. And
Yeah.
it makes it so much clearer to cut through about where you need to focus your efforts. So my argument would be it's a simpler way of looking at skills.
Love that argument. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think it's when you start, uncovering those layers, you start to see that it's like the fog clears and you can
Mm.
actually see, the tangible things that you need to do. Okay, so in terms of Ipsos then, great organization. I've been fascinated over the last couple of years to see the work that you're doing, the publications, the brilliant thought leadership, the amazing research. Why is skills so high on the agenda more broadly at
Mm.
the moment?
I mean, we're a really diverse organization in terms of the type of work that we do. I think sometimes, yeah, people's perception are that I mean, we're very well known in kind of, when we do the polling and things like that, but we do a phenomenal amount of work from innovation to strategy consultancy to, kind of tracking the health of brands. I mean, we do, and our data science, and AI capabilities are growing so fast. So
Right.
we've got such a massive, diverse organization. So for us, the reason why skills are so high on the agenda is because we've got a business strategy that we need to be able to, be innovative, be always, a step ahead of kind of even what our clients are asking for. We want to be the proactive organization that says you may benefit from this. We're bringing AI into a majority of our offerings now. And when you've got such a forward-thinking business strategy, you also need, kind of like an underpilling talent skills strategy that enables you to get there. So we've got kind of like an organizational benefit, if you like, of why skills are so important because we want to be able to deliver our business strategy. Therefore, we need to know what skills we've got, what skills we need in the future, and then we need the plans to be able to bridge the gap.
Hmm.
Anybody would know that as a talent strategy. It's not rocket science, but it's really complicated to do if you don't have really good informed data.
Yes.
So that's why it's important from an organizational level. From a team level, it's really important for us because actually we know that the most diverse teams, so people that bring, their own unique skills and strengths into the mix are the most productive, the most, those that feel the most included, they're most engaged and motivated. We see great innovation where we've got real that diversity of thought and challenge across kind of our business areas. So it's really important from a team perspective as well. And when you're in a team that can talk the language of skills and strengths,
Mm.
it not only helps, if you and I are working together and I'm like, oh God, I love the fact that you've got the opposite strength to me, because I can come to you and you love and you get energy from that, whereas I don't.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't feel the need to kind of work on it myself because actually I can work with you on it,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So that team dynamic is so, so important for us. And then on an individual level, it's really important for us because actually, if you want to, we want our people to feel really valued for how they show up in their completely unique way. And, by helping people understand the skills and strengths that they have really helps them kind of go, wow, this is me. Like, and actually, I can add real value to my role, kind of the organization. And really, we want people to really feel that we value that from them.
Mm.
Also, because we've done a lot of work in aligning specific learning and development to the skills work that we've done, really helps invest in them from a developmental perspective as well. So it is really important for us to kind of, make sure that people know not only that they're valued for what they have, but also they're valued for what they can develop in the future as well. So I think those three levels, organizational, team, and individual, that's why we're all over the skills
I
stuff.
always love hearing you speak so easily about those three levels interchangeably. And as you say, it's so important that they're spinning at the same time. What have you done? What have you done to help people understand and then leverage and develop their skills and strengths?
Yeah. So this year, we excitedly kicked off all of the work with skills discovery, working with obviously sales in Cappfinity. So we started with our leadership population, so which was around 600 people first of all. We launched that in April, and everybody went through a skills discovery. So we used the Cappfinity behavioural AT taxonomy, which worked brilliantly for us when we'd kind of, we were very critically analysed all of those behavioural skills. Was it fit, for what we wanted in the future, etc. It worked brilliantly for us. We then also worked alongside you and developed our own taxonomy for our technical skills, and they were derived specifically from some global work that we had done about what skills do we need to deliver our future business strategy. So we had this nice kind of alignment of these two kind of assessments, behavioural and technical. So all of our leaders went through there, and they came out of it with kind of, a self-assessed report for the technical skills, and then the really insightful behavioural skills output profile that comes from skills discovery.
Mhm.
When people looked at that, it's like a 12, 14 page report, right? And it is just so in depth about who they are, what value they bring, just some really great self-coaching tips that, there's been real value for our leadership communities just to get in
Yeah.
with that detail, and we posed them some kind of, these are some self-reflection questions that you might want to ask. So we very much started at that individual level. We've encouraged all of our leaders to have conversations with their own people leaders to say, actually, what does my skills discovery show? What does it mean for kind of the future? We've really encouraged the people to like think about that light green box in terms of your unrealized strengths. So these are the gold dust, the untapped potential. And
Mhm.
we've challenged people to just set a couple of real development plans focused on bringing those from the unrealized box into the realized box, because they are your skills that you're not currently using, but you enjoy and you're really good at. So that's kind of been it from individual perspective. We've also started to do some team development. So we've started to do some leadership team development where we've looked at it on a team perspective, and we've started that conversation to say, who are we collectively as a team? How can we appreciate each other? What do we each bring? But also importantly, because we've worked with some senior leadership teams, we've said, how do you want to collectively lead this function into the future? What skills do you need? What do you have?
Yeah.
Potentially, where are your gaps? Where might you overplay your skills? Where are your kind of, your watch out areas? So we've had a couple of team sessions that we're now starting to kind of do more and more of. So we've done that at kind of a team level. And then back to that organizational level, we're now starting to look at the start from our leadership communities, who are we as a collective? So if we want to collectively lead our organization to be, to deliver our business strategy, then what skills and strengths do we have? And
Mhm.
importantly, where's our untapped potential? So again, looking at those unrealized strengths, and then how can we bring that more? How can we think about how we allocate project work, how we kind of align people to kind of specific things, how we think about careers on a
Mhm.
more strategic level.
Mhm.
We're also now starting to look at, again, aligned to this kind of, we know that we need these skills in the future. So where are our potential gaps?
Yeah.
And so we've kind of done that on an organizational level.
Yeah. Lovely.
We've now gone into a whole raft of allocating specific learning and development against all of the skills. So we launch in week commencing the 29th of September,
Mhm.
our skills-based learning offering through our internal platform called iGrow. And it's got a whole raft of leadership development plus for everybody, and it's aligned. So if, for example, you look in your profile and you go, actually, I've got an unrealized skill of connector,
Yeah.
say, you
Yeah.
can go into our platform and you can kind of look for connector and you click on that, and it has a whole plethora of development opportunities, all micro learning. So we're working with a couple of partners to be able to provide that. We've got some great internally designed content. So whether you've got 5 minutes or half a day, you'll
Mhm.
be able to immerse yourself in the development directly aligned to connector.
Hmm.
So that launches in September. We also launch Skills Discovery then to everybody across the organization. So that launches at that point as well. Um, and so hopefully where we'll get to by the end of the year is having a whole organization view of the skills that we have. It's a significant journey, but I mean it will give us such phenomenal data that we've never ever had before. So yeah, it's really exciting. And we've got, it's not just about kind of having skills discovery as a product. It's about how you then embed that in the entire strategy. So it's in our L&D strategy, it's in our talent strategy, it's in our performance. So our performance conversations are around, how you play into your skills and your strengths. We're thinking about our high potential programs and basing it all around kind of the skills discovery. We're starting to think about kind of the client relationships, about which kind of skills are really important for kind of some of our key clients. So we're just embedding it throughout the whole organization, which is why I think it becomes less from a like an initiative
Yeah.
project into the way we do
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and looking for all these opportunities, as you say, to kind of link it up and make it
Yeah.
an anchor and just embedded and threaded through everything you do. I mean, it's incredible the amount that you and the team have done, and where you will get to by the end of the year is just staggering. If you think that, as you say, it was April, like so impressive and such a joy to see. I think at the moment and where we are and looking at how people are, feeling a bit overwhelmed with becoming skills based and not knowing where to start. What tips, Catherine, have you got for anyone who is thinking of embarking on this kind of work or this kind of project? What's really helped you to get where you are?
Well, first of all, just do it. I
Yes.
know that's a real obvious thing to say, but there's so much procrastination that happens when you're like, oh God, I don't know what to do or where to start. But just start, even if you pick however big or small your organization is, pick a group of people to start with. So it could be that you want to start with like frontline employees. It could be that you want to start with your high potential. The point is that if you lack data now, the thing that you need to be able to make decisions on in the future is data. So start somewhere.
Yeah.
We started with our leadership community.
Mm.
That helped because we wanted to understand, if you like, the capability and the skills that our leadership communities had. But also it's really important I think when you roll something out across the organization, that you've got leaders buy-in from the get-go. So they've been through it themselves. They know what the experience is. They can start to see the value in it, so that when they start to talk their teams through it, you've got passionate advocates. So we chose to start with our leadership community, and it's kind of worked well. And we'll, like we said, we'll kind of roll it out. So I think the biggest tip is like just start somewhere. Don't feel like you have to have it right.
Mm.
Do think about it like a whole embedding. So go back to like the employee life cycle and go, okay, so if we're gonna start this, it's great to be able to provide people the opportunity to do a skills discovery and to find out who they are.
Mm.
That's great.
Mm.
But and what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like from an again, thinking at it from that organizational team and individual perspective, that's great for the individual. But what does it mean for the dynamics of how teams work? We know that absolutely that people perform better when they're in these diverse mix of teams, that people can, really feel psychologically safe to kind of challenge and to speak up and be innovative. So that comes from understanding what the collective strengths are and being able to challenge people. But then think about it from an organizational perspective. If you fast forwarded 5 years, like what information would you want to know to be able to make the right decisions to implement your strategy? And even if you wrote on a piece of paper, I would love to know X, Y, and Z. You can work back from that, kind of do that future back perspective,
Yeah.
and then go, okay, well, let's start collecting the data.
Yeah.
So I think if you think about it from those kind of three different lenses, and you can come up with your, right, I'm going to do two things this year under each of those, working to understand the skills better, then,
Yeah. Amazing.
it'll happen.
Amazing. Oh, I love it. Amazing. That's going to be so useful for everyone. I think what I've seen is just a real, with you and the team, just such a genuine passion for making a difference at those levels. And I think that's really key. And I think I've seen you be really balanced, right? Like really passionate about helping individuals, but also really interested and really energized by the organizational kind of strategic piece, right? And the kind of the commercial advantage that comes from that. And I think I've seen that be really key to what you're doing as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think when it becomes less of an HR thing, you know that you're the tipping point has happened when,
Yeah.
we've now got kind of our senior business leaders going like, out of interest, what do my skills data look like? And, thinking about kind of projects like, well, could we potentially start to think about allocating, projects based on, skills and strengths? And you're like, yeah, totally. Let's do that. Let's do that. So when you start to feel true embedding, when it's not an HR driven thing. But yeah, I agree. You have to have the passion across all those three levels. You have to really care that you want people to go home at the end of the day and go, today really rocked because I understood what my strengths are and I got to play to them. And that feels really good. You have to care that, the team dynamics can really shift to high performing teams by understanding, okay, well, what skills and strengths do we have? And actually, you might have that, but I don't have that. And actually, I no longer feel like I have to work on improving that because I can work with you and you love doing that.
Yeah.
So that high performance in the team. And then you equally have to care about where are we going as an organization? How are we going to get there? And what skills do our people need for the future? And you've got to have that talent strategy in place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love a bit of passion anyway. But yeah, across all those three levels.
So lucky. Everyone listening, honestly, even just a 60-second soundbite from you is gold dust. So the fact we've had you for 20 minutes talking about this stuff, we're so lucky and I'm so grateful. And I know you're so good, Catherine, with being open to people reaching out and asking you questions and being connected. So Catherine is obviously tagged in this post. Contact Catherine, let us know if you want us to make the connection. And thank you so much for fitting everything that you've done into 20 minutes and whistle stop talk.
That was amazing to me, to be honest. But yeah, we'll run with it. Had to
Um,
really play to my explainer strength then, like get
you.
to the point straight
I
away.
was mesmerized. It was great. So yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Thank you again to Catherine, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, Catherine.
Bye.